Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right when you're chasing her? You text her back immediately, you always answer the phone when she calls, you're always available to lend her a helping hand whenever she needs. You make her the center of your world, and yet she still pulls away. That was me for years. I used to think that if I was always around to help her out with every problem that she needed fixed, that proved to her that I was always going to be there for her and that I was the perfect guy for her to have in her life. And what I realized after about 10 crash and burn experiences is that human beings aren't wired up this way. And even though that looks good on the surface level, there's way more to attraction and relationships than just being around all the time. In this video, I'm going to show you the #1 mistake that men make in the dating world and how to do things differently so you not only have a better shot at ending up with her, but you also build a strong sense of identity for yourself as well. Here's where I went wrong for years. When I was interested in a girl and she would text me, I would always text her back immediately. In fact, I even had my phone out ready to receive a text message from her. If she called, I would always answer it, and I would always respond back with something creative, a meme, a Bitmoji, something interesting, because I wanted her to know that she was important to me. I wanted her to know that she was the center of my world and that I was always going to be around for her and to help her out with anything that she needed. I thought that was a good quality to have. Why wouldn't you want somebody to be available? And the thing is, they do want you to be available for them, but there's way more to this whole picture than I realized initially. It got to the point where every time she would text me to hang out, I would drop what I was doing and immediately schedule something with her, and I would even go as far as to do it whenever it worked for her. As long as I got to hang out with her, I was happy. If I already had plans with somebody else, sometimes I would even cancel those plans or shorten them so that I could fit her in because I didn't want to miss a moment with her. Deep down, I thought that if I said no, or if I was unavailable, that she would just find somebody else to occupy her time with, and another guy would just end up with her. I didn't want that to happen, so I made sure that I was always around and ready to hang out whenever she was available. Which leads me to the #1 mistake that I made and that most men make in the dating world. You're always available. This may seem attractive and perfect on the outside, but what it's really saying is that you don't have anything else important going on. And she's going to notice this very quickly. She's going to notice that if you're always available for her, that you don't have goals that really matter to you, you don't have friends that really matter to you, and you don't feel the need to prioritize things in your life that are important to you. She's quickly going to start asking herself questions like, where is he going in life? What's important to him? Is life with him going to be interesting? What I didn't realize is that by prioritizing my own goals, myself, my friends, that actually created a mysterious and magnetic quality about me that would get her guessing, what is he doing right now? Who is he hanging out with? What's happening? What am I missing out on? And then when I finally did hang out with her, she would have some interesting questions to ask me because she knew that I was passionate about other things. Women like a little mystery in life. They may tell you initially that they want to know everything about you and that that's what's the most important to them. But the thing is, they actually like some unpredictability. They like not knowing, and it's a great idea to always throw a wrench in every once in a while, because what you're doing is you're creating an element of mystery. You're showing her that there's more to you than she actually thinks, and that actually creates interest. It keeps things fresh. Even though it may be uncomfortable for them up front, it definitely adds a layer to the relationship and creates this quality where they want to keep coming back for more. There was a time where I didn't believe the very advice that I'm giving to you right now. In fact, I had to fail with about 10 to 15 different women at different periods in my life to finally sit down and accept that this is the way that things are done. I remember one time I was really into this girl, and not only was I thinking about her constantly, but every single time I would see a text message from her, my insides would light up and I would just feel incredible, and I would grab my phone and want to respond to her instantly, and I did. And I was always available for her. She was living an interesting life. She was working, she was going to school, and she was hanging out with friends. And when she finally would think about me, text me and ask me to hang out, I was right there at the bar to meet her within the hour. And we would hang out as friends. I always found her going around the bar talking to other people, and sometimes even meeting other men there. And occasionally I saw her hooking up with other men in front of me. And I just thought in that moment that she was a horrible person. But what was also going on is that she was doing that because I was her friend, and she always knew that I was going to be available whenever she wanted. So she figured that she would take a chance with other guys to see what else was out there. Because clearly I didn't have anything interesting going on. She always knew where I was, she always knew how to reach me, and she always knew that I never said no. So if things didn't work out with these other guys, I was always around to comfort her and help her, and that's precisely why I always ended up in the friend zone. She even went as far as to invite me on a cruise one time, and even though we were on a trip together, partying and dancing, she proceeded to hook up with another guy on that cruise ship that she met, and ended up going back to his house after the trip while I flew back alone. It was at that moment that I realized I was just going to be a friend forever because of the way that I was acting and because I didn't prioritize myself. Until one day, when I decided to move to another state to pursue a dream of mine, the night before I left, I was standing outside with her, and all of a sudden, she wrapped her arms around me and said, "Don't leave. We can try this. We can make this work. I'll date you." And in that moment, I said no, because I had a dream that was more important to me than that relationship, and I was willing to walk away. Even though it had been the thing that I wanted the most all this time, I was now prioritizing my own goals and dreams, and the reason why she finally came around and wanted to date me is because she was able to sense that energy and the fact that I was changing the way I was doing things in my life. And that developed a sense of self-respect, and she could pick up on that, which made her respect me more. It made me more intriguing, and she wanted to explore that a little bit more with me. But in this case, I didn't end up with her because I learned a very important lesson, and it was that my goals matter. And I need to put myself first in these situations. And after I'd done that, if we ended up together, that would have been different. But we ended up going our separate ways, and I ended up pursuing my dreams and meeting someone else down the road. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, once you end up in the friend zone, there's actually no way that you can end up dating the girl. And I want to tell you a story that disproves that. So my wife and I were actually friends for 4 years before we ended up dating. And I'm convinced that the reason why it shifted from friendship to dating was because I actually changed the way that I did things. When we were friends, I was always available. I always texted back immediately. I was always available for a phone call. Every time she needed help with something or needed help fixing something in her apartment, I was there. And not only did I help her out and fix whatever she needed, but I also overstayed my welcome and tried to hang out with her as long as possible. When we would hang out together, go to events, farmers markets, dinner, I would always let her decide when she wanted to end the hangout, because I would have just stayed with her for hours. I couldn't get enough of being around her. But that also signaled that I didn't have any important priorities in my life, and that she was the number one priority in my life. And again, going back to those questions, she was asking herself, what are his goals? Where is he going in life? What is life going to be like with him? It just seemed like everything that I was doing was predictable, and there was nothing really interesting about how I was living or where I was going. Even my opinions were pretty neutral because I was trying so hard not to offend her. So again, things just really weren't that interesting. Was I a good friend? Yeah. Would I have made a good partner at that time? Probably not. Which is the reason why during our friendship, she actually explored dating other guys. And honestly, that didn't feel great to me because I still liked her that way. But I had to learn the hard way, and I was forced to really sit with myself and say, where do I want to go in life? What's important to me? What do I want to do? And that led me to wanting to start a business and create a career for myself as an entrepreneur. So instead of responding to her text messages immediately and always being available and checking in on her often, I absorbed myself in my new goal, which was to build a business. And I started taking care of myself in different ways, like doing yoga, exercising, going for long walks, brainstorming ideas, and applying that to my new company. After about 6 months of this, the dynamic between us shifted because she noticed that I wasn't always available and that I'd gotten busy and I was working on other things. And so when we did talk, she would start asking me questions about what I was doing, and she started to find out that every time she wanted to hang out, I wasn't always available. Sometimes I was hanging out with my friends, sometimes I was working on one of my projects. And so what that did is that planted the seed in her mind that maybe he isn't always going to be around. And that actually started to make her think about me differently because I could have left at a moment's notice. The fact that I changed my whole dynamic after years of being friends with her showed her that there was something about me that was unpredictable. There was something about me that signaled that I wasn't always going to be around. She started to look at me differently as a potential partner, until one day she invited me to an event. We ended up together and have been together ever since. So if you're in this situation, what I want to share with you is you're going to feel compelled to always be available for the girl. You're always going to want to please her. You're always going to want to fix things for her. You're always going to want to be around because you think that if you put yourself in that proximity, that there's a higher chance that you'll end up with her. But what you have to understand is that you need goals and things in your life that are important to you. You need a sense of self-respect. And the way that you do that is you think about your own life and even be a little bit selfish with it. Start to ask yourself questions like, where am I going in life? What do I want to do? Do I want to get a degree? Do I want to start a company? Do I want to move to a specific place? Do I want to own a home? What's important to you right now? What kind of work do you want to do? What are you passionate about? And then take those ideas and run with them and create something that is important to you. Really get into your work. Don't always be available for her. Don't always be available for your friends. Care about your goals and your desires enough to give them your time. And people will realize that it's more of a luxury to hang out with you when you're actually free because you're not always around. Think of it like a product that is available for a limited time. People want those more than products that are always available. There's a scarcity to them. So create that within yourself, and also know that when you're working on something that you're interested in, that you're passionate about, that you're building a sense of self-respect from within. You're building self-trust, and you're improving that relationship that you have with yourself. And when you have a strong relationship with yourself, you're able to share that quality to everyone else in your life, including her. So in short, the way that you up your chances of getting the girl is actually by doing less, not more. Focus on yourself, focus on your goals, be confident about the direction that you're going in, and when you're around her, the energy between the two of you will shift and she'll pick up on that. The energy itself becomes more magnetic, you become more intriguing to her, and this is what really creates the attraction. As a thank you for getting this far in the video, I want to offer you a free video course that I created specifically for getting out of a rut and changing your life. If you're stuck and you don't know really where you're going or what you're interested in, I created a 5-part video series to help you change your life in an effective way by getting rid of bad habits and replacing them with good habits, except you're going to be doing it in a way that actually sticks. This is a formula that I developed myself and that I used to get out of a 10-year rut and change my life and level of passion in it. If you're interested in checking out that free video series, the link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel for more content on improving yourself and the relationships in your life. And if you're curious on checking out some more of my free content, check out my Substack. There's a link in the description. I have a podcast about common problems in relationships and how to resolve them, as well as tons of written content on how to become a stronger, more confident version of yourself, which improves your own relationship that you have with yourself, as well as all the relationships in your life. The link for all of those is in the description below. If you got something out of this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.